Today's lesson, 9-2, is talking about perimeter and circumference of shapes. Perimeter and circumference pretty much mean the same thing. It's just that they're talking about different shapes. Perimeter of any figure is the distance around the figure. If you were to wrap a string around the shape and then unravel the string, that would measure the distance. That's the perimeter. You want to think about perimeter as going around the rim. The rim means edge because the word rim is in perimeter. You want to find the perimeter by adding the measures of the sides. This only works for polygons, and polygons are closed figures that have straight edges that do not cross. This is a triangle right here, and we can find the perimeter of it by adding the sides together. 6 plus 5 plus 9 gives me 20, but I can't forget my unit. The perimeter of the triangle is 20 inches. For this quadrilateral over here, I'm going to be adding 4 sides together since my shape has 4 sides. That would be 11 plus 8 plus 10 plus 7. All together, that is 36 centimeters. Don't forget your unit. Okay, to find the perimeter of a rectangle, you can add all the sides together. For example, this rectangle down here has 8 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5. Well, if I did that, 8 plus 5 plus 8 plus 5, well, that's 13 plus 13, which is 26. Or I can pay attention and say, hey, look at that. I've got 2 8s right here. So 2 times 8. And then plus, I've got another 2 5s, 2 times 5. So you could do that perimeter equals 2 length plus 2w, or you can do 2 times the quantity of length plus width, meaning you add your length and your width together, 8 plus 5 is 13, and then you multiply that by 2 to get 26. It doesn't matter which formula you use, but you do need to recognize that perimeter equals 2 times length plus w. So it's kind of the distributed version or the undistributed version. So if you did 2 times L, that would give you 2L, plus 2 times W, that would give you 2W. So this is a version of finding the perimeter of a rectangle. So is this. And so is doing length plus width plus length plus width. Those are all 3 ways to find the perimeter of a rectangle. Okay. The bottom, 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to have you do those. The bottom numbers 1, 2, and 3, I'm going to have you do those on your own. Just make sure you have your units, which they're nice, and went ahead and put them in there for you. But I want you to practice those on your own, and we'll check those tomorrow in class. Those are part of your grades. If you don't have this done, you will receive an incomplete grade on your notes. We just finished talking about perimeter, which is talking about the distance around the edge of a polygon. Well, circles aren't polygons because they have no edges. There's no corners to a circle. It's all round. So, of course, since circle is not a polygon, we have a different word to represent the distance around the edge of the circle, and that would be circumference. To find the circumference of a circle, you need to know the diameter or the radius. And really quick, let's talk about what a diameter is. If you have a circle and you have the center of that circle, the distance that goes all the way through the center of the circle is called the diameter. It makes it look like a Pokemon ball. Now, half of the diameter, or the distance going from the center of the circle to the edge, is called the radius. And then, of course, to measure the outside edge of the circle, if I wrapped a string all the way around that circle, you would have the circumference. When we're abbreviating these terms, circumference is abbreviated with a C, diameter is with a lowercase d, and radius is with a lowercase r. So when you see those, you're going to think circumference, radius, and diameter. It's important to understand that the ratio of a circumference of any circle to its diameter, in other words, when you take the circumference divided by the diameter, it's always the same, every single stinking time. And they figured that out in ancient Greece and were amazed by it. And they were so amazed by it that they assigned it a Greek letter, pi. And you've heard this one before. That would be your 3.14 when you approximate it. To find the circumference of a circle, if you know the diameter, you're going to take diameter times pi. The formula is c equals pi times diameter, where pi is 3.14. The way I remember this is cherry, pie, delicious. So cherry stands for circumference, pi stands for the symbol pi, and the D in delicious stands for diameter. So here, in this example, we have a circle with a diameter of 6 inches. That's great, because all we do is we plug it into c equals pi times d. Now you'll notice here in the example that they changed that equal sign to the squiggly approximate sign, and that's because 3.14 is not exactly pi. It's actually 3.14159.265 and goes on and on and on forever. So anytime you replace a number with pi, you're actually finding an approximation, not the exact answer. Okay, so what they did is they did 3.14 times my diameter of 6 to get 18 and 84 hundredths. Now you are going to make sure that you add the labels. So if you round it to the nearest tenth, your answer would be 18 and 8/10 inches. If you don't know the radius, you actually have to do a little bit of math. If you'll remember back that radius is half of the diameter, meaning 2 radii fit inside of a diameter. To make that meaningful, your equation is going to change. And instead of c equals pi times diameter, it's going to be pi times 2 times the radius. That 2r is the same as your diameter. Okay, let's give number 4 and 5 a shot. I know that my diameter is 9 centimeters. If I remember my formula, it's going to be circumference is equal to pi times diameter. We're going to use the approximation 3.14 for pi and plug in my diameter, which was 9. You can use your calculator for this and type in 3.14 times 9, and you will get 28 and 26 hundredths centimeters. But we're going to round it to the nearest tenth, so that 6 bumps up the 2 to 28 and 3/10 centimeters. If you have the radius, you have to actually do a little bit of math, because we know that if the radius is 13 centimeters, the diameter is twice that. So that means the diameter is 26 centimeters. You can either do that before you plug in the formula, and you can use, once you've done this step and found the diameter, then you can do 3.14 times 26, or you can remember the formula c equals pi times 2 the radius. And that would be 3.14 times 2 times 13. When we do this part first, 2 times 13 is 26. That's where the 3.14 times 26 comes in. Type that into your calculator and you get 81 and 64 hundredths centimeters. Rounded to the nearest tenth, that 4 does not have enough power to bump the 6 up, so your answer is 81 and 6/10 inches. I'm going to do number 8 for you. I'm going to expect that you do number 7 and 6 on your own. We've got a few questions that you're going to need to do tonight independently. All right, so number 8, I know my radius, so I'm going to use the equation c equals pi times 2r. Since the radius is 1.5 inches, I'm going to double that and figure out that my 1.5 plus 1.5 would be 3 inches. 3.14 times 2 times 1.5. Well, I know that 2 times 1.5 is 3. So I'm going to have 3.14 times 3, which would be 9.42 inches when I calculate it into the calculator. But we're going to round to the nearest tenth, so that'd be 9 4/10 inches. Okay, make sure you do number 6 and 7 from this page, and that you do the bottom 3, so 1, 2, and 3 from the front page of 9-2. That will be counting towards your grade, and we'll check them over tomorrow for bell work. Good luck!